Welcome to the Richard Lloyd USA YouTube channel. I'm Richard Lloyd. Today I'm doing a video on guest Wi-Fi networks. I've been asked several times by commenters and you guys, how do I segment my network so that the kids have their own section and and so on, and basically they want to split their network into two things, and that is the adult side, the work side, and the kid side, school side. So best way to do that, really, because kids and guests generally only need access to the internet. They shouldn't have any access to any of your network resources. The best way to do that is using the guest Wi-Fi network. Most modern routers, and I'm going to be using not too modern a router. This is a Netgear R7000P, and it's a dual band router, and most routers now are, and most routers have guest network or guest Wi-Fi network capability. So let's just go through it so that you understand why we're doing this. So next, a guest Wi-Fi network is a secondary Wi-Fi access point built into most modern routers, as I show here on this clip. By default, the feature's turned off. That's probably why most people don't use it and don't even give it any second notice. They should, because it's a very, very good, it's actually an excellent security measure built into your router that most people don't use. But regardless, and so it's not just a separate circuit inside your router. It's just a virtual Wi-Fi connection anyways. But it is a very, very restricted Wi-Fi connection. It only gives, if it's by default on most routers, it only gives you access to Wi-Fi and the internet. That's it. Everything else on your network doesn't exist for that person, and that's the way you want it. Now, especially with kids, but I mean, if you have adults coming to your house and they come in and they want to check the stats on the football game or whatever, and they don't want to use their data up on their phone, or they want a faster access. Usually, most people nowadays just say, "Yeah, here's my Wi-Fi password." That's, even though you may trust them, and they could be Gandhi and Martin Luther King and everybody else like that, all those heroes put together in one. That's not why they're a security risk. There's different reasons why they're a security risk, and there's a very good reason why you only want to give them guest access to your network. Okay, now there's different other configurations for guest access, which I'll go into other videos, but in this one I'm just going to show you the restricted mode, because that's the one that really matters the most. So as I said, by default, as you can see here, it's turned off. Let's go to the next screen here. Now, turning on the guest Wi-Fi network, as I said, give me a second, on most routers will give the clients or users who connect to Wi-Fi access to the internet only, but completely blocks all access to your network, including your router. They can't log into your router. They can't even see it. They can't see any of the shares on your network. Nothing. It's just basically, think of two separate networks, one with nothing on it where they're at except the internet, and yours with everything on it, where you're at, and all your access to the internet as well. So as you can see here, one is locked out from the other, which is perfect, right? Now, this is what I'm showing you here on this screen is a regular network, and that's what I have right now, and what probably most people at home currently have, because as far as I can see, most people don't use guest access. This is regular network access, which gives clients access to the internet and complete access to your network, which is what you want, right? I mean, you've got Wi-Fi at home and you've got a network at home. Why? Because you want to access it. That's perfectly normal and okay, right? And you're careful with what you're doing, you got virus protection, all that stuff. But you don't know what other people do with their devices, or if they're that careful, or, again, you can be careful and still have a virus on your machine, so, or your device. So anyways, this is what you have, and anybody that connects to this has total access to all this equipment. And that's the key part, complete access to your network. All right, so your sister's visiting, and your nephew Timmy comes over, and he's bored, and he's got a tablet, and he wants to get onto the internet, right? And but for the most part, you know, Timmy's a great guy, great kid. There's, you know, you love him, and he's not a hacker or anything like that. He's just a kid with a tablet, wants to surf the internet. But, you know, so he asks you for your Wi-Fi password, and you give it to him. Now remember, this is a regular Wi-Fi network, so when you give him that password, you're giving him access to everything on your network. Not that he knows how to do, you know, get to your shares or whatever, or he's going to hack anything. Doesn't matter, right? His device now is connected to your network. It's part of your network and has access to all those resources. But what you didn't know is that his tablet was infected with an internet worm or virus. And once he connected it to the Wi-Fi, it propagated through your network like lightning. And now your laptop, your PC, your Nest thermostat, which is what they call IoT devices, and your router is broadcasting or trying to propagate this virus out to the world and to anything that connects to your network as well. And you're going, oh my goodness, what have we done? And at that point, you know, you realize this was a bad move, right? And you know, basically, you know, you just go, uh-oh, I shouldn't have let Timmy on my network, on my Wi-Fi access. That was a bad idea. And I've seen this bad enough, and I've seen this exact thing happen. So bad that the network, the ISP, the internet service provider, shut down the connection of the user who had it because it was trying to propagate the virus through their network and into the internet itself. They saw all the traffic and they said, we got to shut this down, and until you get that virus off your network, we're not putting you back on our network because you're dangerous. And that's how bad it can be. So, I mean, that's an extreme case, but I've seen it. And yeah, so you're just going, you know. So, next thing, I guess most people's response to this, I'm never letting Timmy on my network again. No, that's not the proper response. The proper response is, you know, well, yeah, here's what you've done. You've basically, Timmy is a Trojan horse, literally and figuratively, and you let him into the castle. So that's kind of an issue, right? But regardless, the proper response is to turn the guest network on and, you know, allow Timmy access to your Wi-Fi through that. And even if he had the worst virus on the planet, you know, it wouldn't affect your network. It would just go out through the Wi-Fi into the internet. And maybe the ISP might give you a call if it's trying to do something to them. But other than that, you wouldn't even notice, and it wouldn't be a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to turn on the guest Wi-Fi access on this Netgear router. I'm going to close this up. First thing we need to do is go to your router. So if you don't know how to get there, I'll show you real quick. Go down to your your network icon down here, whether you're on Wi-Fi or hardwired. Right-click it and choose Open Network and Internet Settings. And here, just go to Properties and scroll down to the bottom to all these numbers. And in this one, you'll see two IP addresses. One's 192.168.1.4, and underneath it, that's your IP address. And underneath it, you'll see a DNS server, and that's the DNS server is usually your router, so that'll be 192.168.1.1. So let's go to the router. Yeah, strongly urge you to use this feature on your router, and never, ever, ever let anybody who's not already inside your network and trusted, and you know, I would say including your kids, don't let them inside your network. Use the guest network access for your children as well, because they go to school, they come back, they're kids, they you know, download all sorts of stuff. So it's you know, it's something you don't need to expose yourself to or your network to, especially since most kids don't need any access to your network, except maybe once in a while they'll want to print something, and then you know, you can print it for them instead, right? So let's go to the router 192.168.1.1. Now yours might be different. Again, if you do that procedure, it'll tell you what the IP address of the DNS is, and that's your router IP address. So look, enter that, and here it's going to ask you for a password. And, you know, again, do not leave any default passwords on your equipment, okay? Don't leave the default password from the router, because guess what? It's printed on the bottom of this router. So anybody can pick up your router, including your kids, and look at the bottom and say, oh, it's this. Okay, I'm going to log in there and play around, you know? kids, right? They're curious. And also, the default password that comes with the router is also printed on the bottom of this router. So they just pick up your router and look at the bottom and go, okay, that's how I get onto mommy's Wi-Fi network. Right? So change these. I already have. And just so you know, the default password for this router is username admin, and the password is password. And guess what? Anybody can Google that and get that. Okay, get that information, including your kids, because they have access to the internet. Okay? So this, you get these pop-ups every time you log in. I could disable one of them, but again, I'm just going through the default so that you can see how this all works. So now we're at the home page. There's a basic and advanced tab, but you don't need to go to the advanced tab. Just go to the guest network tab here. And well, as you can see, let's just go through this a little bit. You know, it's on the internet. Here's the key, password for the regular wireless. Again, don't let your kids see this because then they get your key, your passwords and stuff. Again, you know, you're the master of this network, the key master. Okay, go to guest network and you get these options. Okay, here's how you turn this on. Now, if you can see here, I've got 2.4 gigahertz band and 5 gigahertz band. This is kind of neat, and it gives you a few options. Basically, it gives you 2 guest networks to play with, right? Now, the 2.5 gigahertz network will be slower, and it's what they call legacy. And, you know, older devices can't connect to 5 gigahertz networks, but they can connect to 2.4 gigahertz networks, no problem at all. So 2.4 will be slower. It also will have a wider range. In other words, you can pick it up further away. And the 5 gigahertz will be faster, but it won't have as wide a range. Now, the nice thing about this is that you can split it up. You can say, okay, the kids go on to 2.4 gigahertz because that slows them down, and that means that they won't be taxing the network and won't be using all the bandwidth on your network, okay? So 2.4 gigahertz limits the amount of data they can go through. And the 5 gigahertz, you can say, okay, that one's for adult guests, and you can call it whatever you want, okay? So let's turn it on. And again, you can play with that any way you want. But that is, you actually get 2 guest networks. So that's cool. So, and again, not all routers have these same features, so check yours and see what features you have, okay? So here we're going to click on Enable Guest Network on both of them. So now that's basically saying to the router, turn these on. And then it says Enable SSID Broadcast. That's standard. Basically, that's advertising to the world that Netgear Guest is available and Netgear 5G Guest is available. And then by default, you notice that they don't have the security options set. That's kind of sad, but we're going to set it, and always use WPA2 PSKAES unless for some weird reason you have to use the other one because something on your network needs to connect with that instead. But by default, the WPA2 PKSAESE is the best. Okay, so and then just like all other Wi-Fi connections, it needs a password. Never, ever, ever create a guest network without putting a password in it. That's like just asking the whole neighborhood to, you know, connect to your wireless and do whatever they want for as long as they want. So always put the password in. Okay, so next thing you're going to do, or another option that a lot of these have, is a lot of routers have, that's allow guests to see each other and access my local network. And you know, you're probably asking yourself, well, I thought the whole idea behind guest network is to, you know, not allow them to see the network. Okay, well, these are options that most routers have, all right? And I'm going to leave that unchecked because I don't want guests to have any access to the network at all. But you might have a situation where, you know, you want the kids not to have any access to the network, but you have associates, like business associates, that come over to your house and you guys got to share files and stuff, but you don't want to give them access to your home Wi-Fi network. You can actually give them access to a guest network that will allow them full access just like yours. But the beauty of that is that you can change the password anytime you want, and that, you know, basically secures a network, and you can shut it off if you wish to. And nobody sees it anymore. You can say, hey, disable that 5 gigahertz guest network, leave the other one on for the kids, and you're done, right? So yeah, this is a nice feature. Some routers I've seen say give you 2 options: allow guests to see each other, that's a check mark, and others each other, and access the network, local network, is another check mark. So you have that level of functionality. This one only has 1 setting. Some have 2. Check yours, you'll see. All right, so I'm going to keep that disabled on this one. Actually, well, I'm going to turn that one on for this one, because then you can see the differences. All right, so we've got the settings we want. Top one's going to be the kids network, so let's just call it, yeah, let's leave a Netgear guest up top. You can name it whatever you wish. Something friendly would be good. And I'm going to use Be My Guest for the kids network, and Be My Guest 2. Actually, I'm going to say TOO on that. So actually, no, let's make it 2. Be my guest 2. Now, another thing as far as security goes, if with your kids, don't give them the passwords. And you go, ah, they need to set it up. No, because kids have a tendency to share, right? Oh, I'll be your friend if you give me your Wi-Fi password. Oh, okay, here's your Wi-Fi password. Now, if they don't know it, they can't give it to them, right? So you set up their Wi-Fi, and if you don't know how to do that, just ask your child and say, hey, show me where the Wi-Fi setup for this device is. Okay, in 2 seconds, they'll show it to you. Then you put the information in, and then you make sure they don't see it, and then close it off. That makes sure that, Timmy doesn't give the whole world your password, and it might as well not have one at that point, right? It's no good if everybody knows your password. So there's the 2 passwords. It's set. It's ready to go. Let's hit apply and let that do its job. And just so you know, I've got a share on the router. I've got a thumb drive connected to the bottom of it, to the front of it. And that's what I'm going to show as a shared on the network, just to show you that, basically once you're on the guest network, you can't see anything. It's beautiful. It's probably one of the best security features, if not the best security feature on modern routers, and nobody uses it. So I'm trying to make you educated on this so that you use it and secure your network. I should have it. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. So there's a USB share right there. That's that thumb drive that's plugged into the router, and it's got a bunch of stuff on it. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's just a share, right? So it's there. I'm going to minimize that. Now let's connect to the network, okay? So at this point, there we go, Netgear 5G guests and Netgear guests. So let's go into the kids guest account, connect, and of course we're going to say be my guest, right? And if you want to look at it, you can look at it here. Again, make sure the kids don't see you doing this stuff. Next. Again, you're protecting them, you're protecting yourself. Security is good for everybody. All right, so there it is. We're connected to Netgear guest. So if we go on the internet, let's open up another incognito window. Actually, let's close the one we had before. Okay, we got a new one here. And let's just try going to the router, because we shouldn't have any access to that. 192.168.1.1. Nothing. Just as it should be, right? Now we go down here to our share, and let's just refresh this, open it up again. There we go. Now, it says, see what happens? Can't access this USB storage. Exactly what it should do, see? But we can surf the internet, no problem. So if we go to Google, oops, let's just start that. Google Translate. Boom, we're on the internet. We're surfing, no problem, right? So, okay, there we go. Perfect. So, we've got complete access to the internet and nothing else, right? They can't see your cameras, they can't see your shared drives, they can't see your router. Perfect, okay? So, let's close this out. Now let's connect to the adult network, right? Or your colleague's network, or what you're going to share out to somebody who comes and visit. Maybe it's an IT support guy, who knows? So let's go to the 5G guest, connect. Remember, we gave this one full access, right? So be my guest 2. And again, over here, if you want to look at it, verify that it's right. Again, security, in my Cisco certification, one thing they pounded into all our heads was the biggest threat to a network security, or to the security of the data on the network are the people inside the network using it, for sure. Okay, because you can do something silly like bring something from home and infect the whole network, plug it into a computer and infect the whole network with a Trojan horse. And basically what Timmy was a Trojan horse. So let's open up the browser again, and now let's go to, we're on the privileged network 192.168.1.1, and we have access to the router. And here, we're going to log in just for kicks. There we go. And we're in, right? The usual pop-up from Netgear. And that's that. And I will be probably doing more videos on security. But anyway, as you can see, we're on. And Google's working just fine, right? Let's go feeling lucky here, right? Or how about NASA? There we go. So yeah, we're surfing no problem. And back down here, if we double click on USB storage, now this person who's on Wi-Fi can see this, and you can share your documents with them and back and forth and spreadsheets and stuff like that, right? No problem. So let's call the second one work guest network, or an adult guest network, where they get full speed and no restriction, right? But again, once they leave, I suggest strongly that you change the password, right? Or shut that one down, because that's a full access network that you don't want to have any more than you need open up there. Okay, so let's go back and do that. So back to guest network. Again, you can either tick this off to allow guests to see each other and access local networks. In other words, full access, or you can uncheck it, or you can disable it altogether by checking this one off and then just going apply. And it should disappear. And then all my shares and stuff should disappear as well. Well, again, theirs will, because they'll be off the network, okay? So that's it for my video on this. Again, don't be the person who lets Timmy infect their whole network, or your colleague or whatever, because again, in the case that I knew about, that person it took them a week to get it all off their network, right? Off all their devices. And then they had to prove to their internet service provider that they'd done it, right? In other words, can you show me a record of something, or, yeah. And then after they turned it on, they were monitoring him for a week to make sure that he wasn't propagating that virus to the world, right? So yeah, not a lot of fun for that person. Cost him a lot of money too, because he had to hire somebody to do all that stuff, right? So yeah, in this case, don't let Timmy be the Trojan horse, and don't let him into the castle. Don't open the doors for him. This guest network will get this done for you, and it's a very, very, very useful thing. Now also, guest networks can be used for internet hotspots, or sharing to a tenant, or anything like that, where you want to give somebody access to Wi-Fi and internet, right? But you don't want them hacking into your stuff. This is a beautiful, beautiful feature. Okay, so that's it for my video. If you like this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a huge favor, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you like it as well. Hit the bell icon as a part of the process of that subscription process, and the bell will notify you every time I put up a new video, and then you can watch it at your own leisure. I will be doing more of these security videos as well. Also, comment section below. Please use the comment section for comments, suggestions, especially video suggestions. I love those. questions or anything you want to say to me, put it in the comment section. I check them regularly. I respond regularly. I've got about 50, 60,000 responses so far. It's nuts when I looked at it. But anyway, so I do use that regularly. In the video description below this video, I'll put links to stuff that it pertains to the equipment I use, including the router and thumb drives and stuff like that. Those are affiliate links. If you click on those, they help me out. I get a little chunk of the sale, but it doesn't cost you any extra than going directly to Amazon or eBay or wherever my affiliate is. They don't charge you any extra. So you're doing me a favor. Buy through those, help me out, help me stay on YouTube, and help me bring more of this valuable content to you. I really do enjoy that. So once again, and like always, I want to thank you so much for watching and supporting my efforts here. I hope you have an excellent day.